Shalom Aleichem. Marsha Bari Yahweh. Late night. I'm up. Went to bed real early today. I was tired when I got off. But I woke up and I saw this video. Another video by the slander crew of Vocab, Malone, him and his Israelite imitators, the Jewish people that he has on his team. I say Israelite imitator because, as stated in my video series that I made addressed to Vocab and his slander campaign with Shield Squad, those people's own material, own literature, says that it's not right to call an ancient Israelite a Jew, or a modern Jew an ancient Israelite, and that they began to claim, that Edomites began to claim to be Israelites the year 1860, and that Edom is in modern Jewry. So these Edomite converts to a false religion that reckons by descent from a woman who practiced Judaism according to oral tradition rather than descent from Jacob, a man not based on religion, because paternal descent is not affected by what religion you practice, else Baal worshiping Ahab, Ahaz, Jeroboam, a long list of Baal worshiping disobedient Israelites would not have been Israelites. So these people are not Israelites, they're just practices of a false religion called Judaism. All right. So they also make, that's why they made the religion a part of their Aliyah law return. If you cannot prove that you descend from a woman who practiced Judaism by having this hook in your blood, or this J marker, then you can convert to this antichrist, non-biblical religion. All right. And then gain citizenship to this antichrist nation. Okay. Now, they also make whether you can speak Hebrew an issue. Now, I was in a conversation with one of them under a post that Miko made. She made a video where, it's probably worldwide by now, but she was addressing the fact that these people are not the original Israelites. And I got in a conversation with one of these Jewish Germans, an Ashkenazi Jew who lives in Israel. And after I documented historical facts and lectures and information from lectures, rather, made by them and their own Hebrew History Federation and their own encyclopedias and almanacs, since he knows that was primary source and academic source information and could not be disproven, guess what he resorted to? Well, I have a passport that says Israel, and I can speak Hebrew. And then he wrote a long passage in Hebrew, thinking I couldn't read, and when I responded to him, he was shocked, and he never even replied. He just moved on because he saw, okay, I stepped in some boo-boo. Yeah, just like Cab Malone has done, stepped in some boo-boo. Playing with my folks, and I done told him to quit playing with my people, so I'm going to put him all the way on Front Street. I just talked to him the other day, or last night, yesterday. I tagged him, in a comment under LaRon Campbell's post that he made, in which I exposed all three of the names that they have falsely come up with in this English version of the Bible that they preach from, and how they all belong to Egyptian, Indian, and Babylonian deities. Okay, so they will also use whether you can speak Hebrew or not as a way to validate whether you are a real Israelite. Now, number one, Edomites spoke Hebrew. Edomites are Semitic. Edomites descend from Jacob. Not Jacob, I'm sorry. Edomites descend from Isaac, just like Jacob. And they are Hebrews, descendants of Eber. But see, they went to Mount Seir, which means hairy goat demon, the mountain of the hairy goat demon, the definition of the word seer. And Esau married a descendant of the hairy goat demon, who happened to be a Horite. His name is Seir the Horite, or Hori Seir in Hebrew. And it means, Hori means to be of a cave, or to be a cave dweller. All right. So his name means hairy goat demon, the cave dweller, the Neanderthal. I mean, look at these people, man. Who descend from? Which one of us has the Neanderthal gene? Look at this guy in the blue, and then the brothers on the right. It was a scientific fact that the guy in the blue on our left, right there in front of my play button, has the blood of a hairy cave dweller, and the brothers on the right don't. That right there is enough to establish who is Edomite and who is Israelite alone, but you know, that won't be accepted because you have a world full of people who have been deceived. But let's move on. This video is about whether these brothers can speak Hebrew or not. As if that matters. Is that going to change their DNA or their blood, Mr. Malone? My question to you is, the Hellenized Israelites that lived in Alexandria, Egypt, that could no longer speak Hebrew or Aramaic and no longer lived in Israel, were they no longer descendants of Jacob just because they could not speak Hebrew and no longer lived in Israel? My second question is, since Herod, the Idumean or Edomite king, who sought to destroy the genealogical record to ensure Edomite rule of Israel, did he speak Hebrew or Aramaic and live in Israel? Yes. Did he practice Judaism? Yes. Okay. Did that mean that he had become a descendant of Jacob and no longer a descendant of Esau? So, language or vernacular or dialect of a language does not determine paternal descent. And the scripture does not institute a recognition of Israelites by descent from a woman who practiced Judaism. So, like I said in my video series, you cowered away from chicken, 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 hard. Yeah, I'm a clown, man. But I'm a clown for a good reason, you know. You're a chicken, man. You asked me to tag you in this series. 2 years ago, man. You ain't responded not one video yet, man. You picking on. Sometimes I believe. Well, sometimes I wonder if the brothers that you have on these videos are deliberately doing what they do and are part of a government slur campaign by COINTELPRO, where they have the brothers out here acting stupid and looking dumb to give us all a bad image, and then have you come on the scene and go through this script or whatever so that you can make a video to publish to a few thousand people and spread this slander on behalf of protecting the interest of the allies of the United States, to which they sold themselves to when they left the gold standard and adopted the Federal Reserve Bank backing of their money, which is a Jewish-owned bank. And they give them money printing power. I think it's like $120,000 worth of money printing power for every U.S. citizen that they put up for collateral. Every time a person is born, they give them a plaque and make a copy of what's on the plaque with a birth certificate. And then the Federal Reserve gives them a loan or backs $120,000 worth of money printing power until they pay back the loan, which is taken out of our checks in the form of what is called federal taxes until they pay back that loan. So it's not about truth, people. It's about money. You know, these people, these Ashkenazim, they bought Israel, and they bought the ally of the United States. So the United States often will do things like try to slander any movement that will be deemed threatening by them to this nation or their allies. So that's basically all that's going on, I believe. I'm not sure. But let's watch this first part, y'all, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let me turn on my Wi-Fi. It's kind of moving slow.
Quick response to a video titled, "How do you know you're speaking the real Hebrew vocab in Abu?" Came out on August 2nd on the, what is the 666 mark account. For those who don't know, that's the official account of Tahar. To explain the background or context of that video, back on July 26th, Vocab Malone visited GMS Dallas, which are followers of Tahar, based down in Texas. And during that visit, among other things, he confronted them on Lashawan Qadash, the system of Hebrew pronunciation that is endorsed by GMS and most other One West groups.
All right, I'll pause it right there. You hear him speaking about Lashawan Qadash. I don't promote that. I don't support that either. Yet, you know, I don't support it as being authentic vocalization of Hebrew. But I support it and accept it as being the dialect or vernacular of Hebrew that my brothers over here decided that they wanted to speak, which is all that these Edomites have done also. The Tiberian system, the Tiberian vocalization system that they used was not the vocalization system used by Galilean Aramaic, which was considered Hebrew in the 1st century. And writings of church fathers like Jerome and others prove this. And even, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, though. I'm going to let him speak on the video, and I'll pause it when it gets to that part. But look how they pick on these brothers Look at that brother. That brother don't have that hairy cave dweller blood. Look at him. Them niggas right there. Excuse me, y'all. I ain't gonna lose my blackness for the sake of the other folk, but I love the other folk too. But I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be black. I'm gonna talk like we talk, and I ain't gonna bother them when they talk like they talk. But I will also not be fake and switch up for them either, and I wouldn't expect them to do it for me. But that brother don't have no Neanderthal in his blood right there. We don't have that blood of the hairy cave dweller or seer the Horite. So Israelite right there. And it's a blood thing. It ain't got nothing to do. I don't care if he couldn't talk, period. I don't care if he didn't know he was an Israelite. I don't care if he is aggressive or, gentle or in error or correct. His blood is not going to change based on his doctrine or what dialect or vernacular of Hebrew he speaks. And these people use a Tiberian system that's completely different from the system used by the Galileans, where they only had 3 ways to indicate vowels. And that was by using the yod, a single yod. It would be pronounced more like an E sound, a E. And then you use 2 yods together to make the Y sound, the vowel sound. Okay. Then you had the Wa. The Wa was used to make a U or U sound when there was only one. And if it was the vowel W sound, they would put 2 of them together, which is really where that term double U comes from. 2 Wa's together. And then they would use the Aleph, which in the East is said Olef. Now watch how they try to pick on this brother for having an altered vocalization system when they themselves have an altered vocalization system that they are applying to a text written in Galilean Aramaic first, as attested by the early church fathers, not Greek. It is the tongue that is referred to as Hebrew tongue in the first century. It's Galilean Aramaic. Matthew wrote his text in Galilean Aramaic, and these folk coming along picking on these brothers about applying a vernacular of Hebrew that is their own, and picking on them about a vocalization system that was not even used in a language that was not even used in the book of Matthew. Watch these people, man.
And Vocab presented an argument against Lashawan Qadash, appealing to the transliteration of a statement made by Jesus in the New Testament. And he also made a passing appeal to the transliterations in the Septuagint. The point of Vocab's argument was that ancient transliterations show that ancient Hebrew had more vocalizations than is recognized by proponents of Lashawan Qadash. And I subsequently made a number of videos discussing the significance of the argument that Vocab had presented. Now, this video from Tahar, from back on August 2nd, was an attempt to respond to that. Regarding that response from Tahar, which we're about to look at, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but my honest opinion is that it was poorly argued, and yet it was receiving comments like this, quote, "What you gotta say now, Vocab," end quote, as if the video presented a definitive and powerful argument.
Pause. I will say this. This guy who was doing his presentation and Vocab Malone, I'm going to give these brothers a real reason to say what you got to say now. So, as I said at the end of one of my videos, Pick on somebody your own size. Stop picking on a little man, bully. Respond to my videos. See, you don't want to respond to my video because you know if you do, I'm going to expose you, number one. Number two, you being exposed by me with the number of people you have as followers is going to cause a whole lot of people to know about me, and they're going to migrate to my channel and find the truth. And I don't care if they give me no money or none of that. This ain't about money, man. Buy the truth and sell it not. I ain't on here trying to get nobody to give me no donations. I don't even put no links on my video for nobody to give me no money. This ain't about no money for me, for my reward is in heaven. And when I get there, I'm going to have a treasure stored up. Now, do that mean if somebody calls me an offer, I'm not going to turn it down? No. But I'm not even going to put no links, none of that. I ain't trying to get no money. You know? But you don't want me on your little page or nothing, bro, because you know I'm coming with primary source and academic source type scholarship that can be backed by trained and certified specialists. So let's continue. Yeah, I'm going to give you a reason to say what you got to say now.
Now, then again, I'm pretty sure that comment was left by a rhyme lob, so I don't know if that's just a partisan issue. I have to wonder if a rhyme lob actually believed what he wrote, if he actually...
Oh, I'll pause it again. I also noticed how the guy doing the narration tried to slander the brother when with his email address or whatever, page name, I forget exactly what it was, I won't go back, had 666 in it. And when it said, what is 666, man? You see what I'm saying? He's trying to make it seem like that brother is satanic or something. You know, the devil is a liar, so which one of us lying? The one carrying the Neanderthal gene or the hairy cave dweller demon? Or the one who don't? Well, I'm going to leave that alone.
Actually thought the video was a good one, and if he did, I have to wonder if he actually understood Vocab's argument. Let's go ahead and take a look at one salient part of the video. Here we go.
When the Lord was on the cross and he said, Eli, Eli, was it Sabatani? I gotta actually read it, but I know Eli, Eli is in there, Sabatani, and there was something else that I forget. But anyway, Vocab goes, the Lord actually said, Eli, Eli. Well, where's the proof of that? That's from a translation from the Hebrew into the Greek into the English.
This was actually discussed in the very videos that Tahar was responding to, or attempting to respond to. Nonetheless, I'll go over it again here. First off, regarding the question of where's the evidence that Jesus said Eli, the evidence would be the Gospel of Matthew itself, assuming we are believers.
No, the evidence would not be. The evidence of what Yeshua said would not be the English or Greek Gospel of Matthew. In a court of law, a text that was formulated by considering an altered and rejected text out of St. Catherine's Cathedral, St. Catherine Monastery, I forget exactly what it's called, would not be considered even admissible, but it would be thrown out at a motion to suppress evidence hearing because the evidence has been tampered with. So no, a just judge would not consider a text that came from considering an altered and rejected text to be the evidence for what somebody said. Carry on.
In the position that the Gospel of Matthew is Scripture. Second, it's vocab's not appealing to the English. It wasn't based on the English. He was basing it on the Greek text. Third, the Greek text is not a translation of the relevant word. Rather, it is a transliteration. And translation conveys meaning. Transliteration conveys sound. It captures pronunciation. Let's focus on the word that was at the center of vocab's argument, which is this word right here. It's spelled Aleph Lamed Yod. It's a general word for deity with a first-person singular possessive suffix attached to it. And now, so this word means my God. And now the question is, how is that word pronounced? Suppose we took a very short survey where we asked both Tahar and Vocab how that word is pronounced, and we had them write it down. Now, so suppose when we did this, Tahar, who believes that the word is pronounced Ali.
Now, notice he said Tahar, who believes that the word is pronounced Aliyah, and Vocab Eli. Remember, these people use a much later Tiberian vocalization system. And even back at the biblical times, the Hebrew that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it was not pointed. They say they do have a Masoretic tradition, which I believe, and I haven't seen it. So I'll just take that word for it, since it's coming from some accredited people. Excuse me. But we also know from that evidence that that was only one of many vocalization systems used. So, as I mentioned with the Galilean pointing system, he is himself using a different vocalization system than what was used by the Galileans, which Matthew was one, and they wrote his gospel in Galilean Aramaic. So, what gives him the right to try to correct this brother about his dialect and how he feel like he want to say this word, when they themselves are not using the vocalization system of Matthew, the Galilean, who wrote the first gospel in Galilean Aramaic as attested by the early church fathers? Multiple. What makes these people think that they can be speaking a different dialect of something and then criticize somebody else for speaking a different dialect? What you call white privilege. You see, the Europeans who back these people, they both share that Neanderthal gene that causes problems in thought and behavior such as schizophrenia. That's a scientific fact. So they can't even see, they don't even consider just how hypocritical they are. You see what I'm saying, y'all? I don't even need to go too much farther with that, man. I'm going to leave it right there before my video get too long and people don't want to watch it and hear the truth. I will continue to be on your trail, Mr. Malone, and that of all those false prophets and shield squad and every other Hebrew Israelite defamation organization. And I will repeat, I do not agree with these brothers' interpretation of certain scripture. I do not agree with these brothers' doctrine that Lashawan Qadash is the pure Hebrew. I do not agree with the charts and a lot of things. But one thing about it, them niggas Hebrew. By blood, homeboy, and not just any kind of Hebrew, they Israelite. Focus on their history. Put me on your little page. Stop blocking me from your groups And get your the little chunk that you got on your team, Mike Pereira, to start acting like he a bodyguard or something. He just stalks my post when I get in a group or whatever that he's an admin in. And regardless if I am using foul language or whatever, he gonna put me out the group. Why? Because I'll be presenting some facts that just put you on front street. I'm talking about you as a religion, man. This Christianity of today, there's no problem with Christianity. It's this pagan church of Thyatira and Laodicea mixed together, shook up in a bag and poured out over the world that I got a problem with. Yeah. Y'all ain't no original Christian, man. You stop playing yourself, man. With all the Babylonian idol God that the Most High spoke against and said he was going to punish Israel for. A city was named after Baal God in Canaan. You run around here preaching the gospel in the name of Baal. Man, you don't sit your fake. Man, let me get off here before I... Bye, y'all. Shalom Aleichem.